Okay, so when chanting Jyoti Mudra, and I've gotten a lot of questions on Jyoti Mudra recently, so I'm actually considering doing a small mini course just on Jyoti Mudra itself, because I think there might be some misunderstandings that can be cleared up around this that I haven't been able to address before. So when doing Jyoti Mudra, do we want to imagine chanting Om through the forehead as if the sound itself is opening up our third eye? And at the same time, we feel like we are seeing or are we imagining or seeing any kind of light or visuals? All right. Now, when you're doing Jyoti Mudra, you can use a couple different ways of accessing that experience. He was asking about kind of imagining sort of the third eye opening. I have done that before, and it can be very helpful. Just like if your eyes are closed, you know what it feels like to open your eyes. Well, if you imagine you've got an eye here and you're opening it, that can be very helpful. But ultimately with Jyoti Mudra, what we're doing is as we're chanting and we're looking out through, we need to get the feeling, the sensation that we are kind of flying through that space. And the only thing I can compare that to is if you've been underwater, swimming underwater, and you felt the water kind of wash over your face, or if you stand under a shower and you feel the water kind of like striking and rolling down over your forehead, that's the feeling that we're aiming for as we chant Om, 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 as though like we're a dolphin and we're going through the water, and each Om we move our flippers and it pushes us forward. So it's meant to be kind of a soothing, flowing kind of experience, but as though we are going through it. So that's something that can help the process of Jyoti Mudra. As far as visualizations go, it can be very helpful if you have the capacity to imagine a radiant sun in your mind's eye, as though you are flowing into that. And you can remember what the sun looks like. You can spend some time observing light reflecting off of water like a stream or a river or a lake, and then bring that back up into your mind as you're chanting Jyoti Mudra. That will help, that will assist developing that experience. So the flowing and the imagination, that's what's important. Now with Jyoti Mudra, especially in the beginning, it might not be that you immediately see a light, because what is happening there is the process of the mudra and the direction that's getting all of your energies going in that direction. So it's not always that people see it in this particular position, but this position, the prana flowing through the hands, directing it back up to the spiritual eye center, the pulling the current up, the flowing out, that's redirecting all of your prana, your life force, your spiritual energy from going down into the senses, as most humans have it doing, to go back up to that radiant field. And eventually the current starts going in that direction. If you can't see it yet, it's because the current is still flowing downward. And that doesn't mean that you are failing. It just means that you need to work, you've got more time, you have to build up more momentum to get it going in the other direction. It's like if you're going really fast down a road, you need to put the brakes on a lot harder to stop, versus if you're going very slowly down a road, you can just barely touch the brakes. Well, if someone has a lot of energy flowing down into their lower chakras, they're very attached to everything in the world, they're disturbed by that, they're distracted by this, well, that's a lot of energy flowing downward. You're going real fast down into the worldly experience of the chakras. And what we're doing with Jyoti Mudra is gently, bit by bit, we're reversing that experience. So that instead of the energy going down, it starts going back up. And the time it takes for it to stop going down and going back up is going to be different for everybody. But when you start to catch glimpses of the light, real light, not just you're imagining it, it's because that the shift has started to occur. And that can take years. If someone tells you it's easy, all you got to do is push on your eyeballs, that's not what we're talking about. That can take a long time, because we don't know how long you've been incarnated. We don't know how many incarnations you have had, which means there might be a lot of momentum going downward. Now, it's not going to take your whole life. It's not going to take 10 or 20 years, but it could take 5 or 6. And then as you go through this process, once the energy starts actually moving in that direction, then it's usually after you've done Jyoti Mudra and you've completely relaxed, because it's in that complete relaxation while you're sitting upright. Just like a fountain, the water flows up through the fountain. This just starts to flow up. Oh, there it is. There's the inner light. Okay. So you have to remember that Jyoti Mudra is part of a training process. It's an exercise that's just like the rest of the Kriya techniques are reversing a pattern which is very ingrained. If you are a human being, every human being has this natural pattern of the energy flowing downward. Otherwise, you wouldn't be here. You would not have been born if that were the case. If your energy was already there, you would have stayed there. But it's not. You thought something was interesting, you wanted to eat an apple pie, you wanted to have a fancy job, you needed to have 5 kids, whatever desires you had that got you here, then there's probably a lot more than you think. Those have to be released and let go of so that you can begin to appreciate that return journey, that return flow. There's a little bit more to this question, so let me go back to it.